Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors. Today's guest is my friend, Mr. Paul Nowak, the Executive Director for Green Blue. Hey, Paul, how are you, sir?
Hey, Cory, doing really well. Thanks for having me on.
It's been an honor to get to know you, and I'm excited for our partnerships and the things that we're working on together. But let's talk about your background. How did you get to this point, and what's new with you?
Perfect. Well, first, I want to thank you for what you're doing, because educating the world on sustainability and packaging is something we really need. So thank you for having another forum to do that. My background, what I think is maybe unique about me is I really did grow up in the packaging industry. So I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool sustainability person who went to school. I love the people who did. That just wasn't my journey. So about 32 years ago now, dating myself, I started in a folding carton company, and I was a temp employee loading folding cartons on a truck. Yeah, and they thought enough of me to hire me full time, and I went from there into production. So those of your listeners who maybe haven't been in a folding carton company or a packaging company, the print, the die cut, the glue, converting paper, all the things we need so that you can get that oatmeal in the morning to your house, right? But you learn a lot. And I think I'm just a naturally curious guy. And I was lucky enough to eventually work my way up into estimating, into scheduling, procurement, and at some point was the general manager of the facility. That took years. The uniqueness I point out there is that when I bring to the table now in meetings, all that history follows you. All that education follows you. So when I started, my next stage was really working with large retailers and brands. Now this is still in the packaging industry, to take that innovation that I learned through all those years and help them convert their packaging, mostly in innovation meetings and R&D meetings. And what became really clear during that, Cory, was that almost all those meetings were starting to become about sustainability at some level. And so they weren't labeled that. When they asked me to come in to sit on a day-long innovation meeting, it wasn't labeled sustainability. It was innovation for this new product launch, or R&D for a new material that was coming out. But it became clear to me that sustainability was already living there, even though we weren't calling it that. So that's where I cut my teeth, really, in sustainability and my background.
I'd love to hear those stories like yours and mine, frankly, where people started in production. I spent 5 years working at Weyerhaeuser, making boxes, paying my way through college. And that's how I learned this is what corrugated can do. This is what it can't do. And you're exactly right. We used to call it green or environmentally friendly.
or I was also called a tree hugger, or some words that weren't as kind in the manufacturing field.
Here in Oregon, we take that as a sign of respect. And
I love that. I love so that's great.
We appreciate tree huggers and we celebrate that. But
yeah.
Let's talk about the SPC. Can you tell us what Sustainable Packaging Coalition is all about?
Sure. So Sustainable Packaging Coalition is one of the groups under Green Blue. So Green Blue is the nonprofit overarching kind of parent of SPC, How to Recycle. For those of you who've heard of the How to Recycle program, Clean Ingredients. But SPC, Sustainable Packaging Coalition, is probably our best known program. So the goal of it is it's a membership-based organization that has three pillars, really: collaboration, education, and action. And what we're doing is bringing across the whole circularity value chain all the stakeholders together for collaboration. And that might sound like a simple thing, but it really is not. And we're very proud of the work we're doing with members. A lot of other groups that are doing amazing work in sustainable packaging are very niche. So you're going to be just in recycling, or just in paper, just in maybe end of life waste. What we are doing, where we think the special sauce is to change and to move this forward, is really saying, we're agnostic. We want everyone at the table. We know that for us to have the urgent innovation in this space that our world needs, that your kids need, that all of us need, we have to have all the voices together, understanding how to make this change. So that really at its core is what SPC does. We do that mostly through our collaboratives. So if you've never heard of a collaborative, it is a member-driven group at SPC that takes one particular topic and kind of picks it apart for action. So how to recycle, those of you who know what how to recycle is, it's those cool labels that we're trying to communicate to consumers the best way to get packaging in the waste stream. How to recycle really started as one of these membership collaboratives where you had you had your Targets at the table, you had your WestRecs at the table, you had, all of them saying, could we do this? And then grew into what we now know as how to recycle. So
That's amazing.
the actions are there. So that, again, collaboration, education is happening. Like, how do you do this? How do we work together? Leading to action is what we're focused on. And it's mission driven. We hope that someday we won't need this mission, frankly, that we'll do so much in this space that it will make ourselves obsolete. But today it's very needed.
Absolutely. So is a collaborative kind of like a committee from a board? Like, that's how I'm kind of envisioning that. Like,
I would think of it as a working group.
okay.
So what SPC, what my personal staff brings to it is we're the neutral third party who's going to run it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, there are some egos in the room sometimes who have their own viewpoints, and that's good. But for us as a nonprofit, it's very important that we're following data. We don't want that to stand in the way of collaboration. So one of our staff members is really running it, like the admin of it. But then the membership says, okay, who's going to be the chairs? Who's going to be the secretary? We put out all the information. We kind of run all the behind the scenes stuff. That's part of your membership experience. Okay. And we have the network of members that at times you're going to be with your competitor in the room talking about how do we change this? How do we make this better? So I would look at it, to answer your question, as a working group with this structure in place from us as the third party that gives you that safe sandbox to start to think through things in.
That's really important to mention, that what you said is very, very true and very important in the sustainability world, that collaboration is happening, even amongst competitors, even amongst enemies. Like, hey, we're all in this together. We need to fix this issue. Frankly, a lot of it was our fault from a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we need to figure out, okay, how can we rectify this? How can we make it better and have this amazing future? But let's talk about the next event for the SPC is October 3rd through the 5th in Atlanta.
Correct.
What can we expect to happen at that? That's a members only event, so you have to be an
members only
SPC
event. Correct.
member.
So yeah, we have multiple events during the year, and it's part of meeting our mission of collaboration education. In-person events, while during the pandemic became very difficult, are back for us. Membership has kind of demanded it. Everyone learns differently. So in person and being able to, I've now had the pleasure of sitting with you at one of our events where you were able to kind of see, I call it magic. It's almost magical what happens at these events.
It was.
Yeah. So you felt some of that. And why is that? I think there's a couple of reasons. Sustainability and people who are passionate about it, I think naturally want to be able to collaborate. Even if they are competitors, their best selves kind of come forward at these events because we're holding very clearly a neutral space. So in Atlanta at our SPC Advance, which is our membership event, what we're doing is kind of living out our mission live and in person. So we hold tours of many facilities that people can go to. We have some amazing speakers from across the spectrum. And so when I talk about the spectrum, I just want to break that down for a second. So brands, obviously people understand what a brand is. I know you've talked to many of them on this podcast. So your Unilevers, your General Mills, retailers, Walmarts, Targets, CVS's. But then we get into material manufacturers who are making materials. So you're talking about your TCs who, help sponsor things in Montreal for us, converters who convert, who actually take the materials and make the packaging, and then academics and government agencies. So we have people from the city of Atlanta who will be at this event. In Montreal, our last event we had, people representing the Canadian government talking about what they're working on. So the event is really this microcosm of our mission living in a live place. So
Yeah.
people can start to collaborate with all these different groups. And I'm lucky I have an amazing event staff. This is not me by any means. The staff really just knocks it out of the park every year and kind of makes each one better. But this year, we're really kind of jazzed about the idea of how they're setting up collaborative speaking. So one of the fireside chats is with the Weather Channel. So, we're in Atlanta. If climate change isn't on anyone's mind after some of the flooding we've seen over the last week, I'm not sure what you're watching or what you're doing, but to be able to talk as a group of packaging experts to the Weather Channel, who has now shifted their mission from just telling you what the weather is tomorrow to educating people on climate change. Like,
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Like, to me, to be able to, I got goosebumps just like thinking about the fact that the packaging industry can help there. And
Right.
then, so that's part of what we're doing, like meeting the mission head on in a live space at our events.
It's top down, it's bottom up, it's left to right, right to left. We got to come together to fix this issue and make not only the packaging better, but the municipalities able to handle the waste in a way that's sustainable. And absolutely agree with you. That's exciting about the Weather Channel. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm
We have some
interviewing.
great speakers.
I'm interviewing TC Packaging on the podcast here this week, so I'm
Oh,
excited
good.
about that.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a great group. They're a great group.
Amazing.
Say hi for me.
I met him there in Montreal and was very impressed. So I said,
Yeah,
hey, you
They're
want to be on my
doing
show?
really good work.
Also, you mentioned the tours. I want to talk about that because it was an overwhelming amount of amazing tours. It took me 2 days to decide which ones I wanted to go on. And then I had to beg Barbara to let me get in on one. And she, but I on the last day, I'm going to the Porsche location. Like it sounds incredible. Like,
Yeah. Well,
how did these come about?
so they're really membership driven, so we talk to our members, what are they trying to learn? And so, and you would know this, and people on listening to the pod will know this, as you look at engagement of your employees or your organization, not everyone's on the same place in the journey, right?
Right.
So you have people like me who maybe are seasoned, who've been around for a little bit, and then you have people just coming into the workforce.
Yeah.
And so for our mission to educate to work, we have to be of service to all of that. So as you start to look at the tours, you will see, wow, they're going to a recycling center or they're going to a manufacturer. Like, while it is always, I'm a packaging nerd, so I always will go watch packaging be made. I've seen that. So for me, it might be better for me to go talk to the municipality of Atlanta and go on that tour, right? So we're trying to curate these tours in a way that it serves our mission of education. And as you probably know, one of the best ways to educate is to see it live. Like, you can read in a book, and now video has become amazing and podcasts are amazing. I still think one of the best ways to really hit it home is to sit in a recycling facility and see the stuff that's going to a landfill, right?
Absolutely.
That maybe you designed, like that your membership design, or to go to one of the organizations like HP is doing a tour of their innovation center to say, how are they coming up with new ways to convert? But we're really looking at the tours holistically when we do it to make sure members who have different needs are being met. And one of the interesting things about SPC members that's changed, I'd say, in the last 2 or 3 years, is our membership has not been immune to the Great Resignation.
Right.
And so they're having a lot of new people come in who maybe have never heard some of these topics. SPC membership now is being used in a very different way to say, hey, can we send these 3 new people to an event? Or can we have them sit in a collaborative to just listen? Because it's now onboarding. It becomes almost like an onboarding process, which is not what we necessarily initially planned it for, but it fits our mission. We're educating. We're to bring that next generation in and say, okay, here's the hack, learn this. Like, go to these things, learn this.
Yeah, and here's something that will add value to you in your career. And here's a step 1, here's step 10, here's step 20, whatever phase you're at in your career, absolutely imperative that we keep learning, but also that we figure out how to keep the brand new people engaged. So
Yeah. So the
fascinating.
tours, if you look at the tours through that lens, I think you'll start to see that. And so what I know you said you were able to make a couple tours. Was there anything that just jumped out at you like, wow, I saw that live for the first time?
The recycling facility, I'm going to, like you said, because I've been to production facilities. I've seen how packaging is made my whole career. I've done that.
Sure.
And like you, I love it and will never say no to that. But I haven't been to a lot of recycling facilities, so I wanted to see that. There was one more spot on that tour, so I got that. And to see the Porsche facility, I can't wait. I know they're doing a lot of things with electric vehicles, and to me, that's imperative. But I know that I'm totally impressed with what you've got accomplished so fast. I mean, you've only been with Green Blue for what, 9 months, something like that, a year?
No, it's actually 75 days.
Jeez. Wow.
We're moving fast.
Tell us about, like, what's been your favorite part so far of this new journey?
Yeah, and I mean, I know we talked a little bit about this earlier, and people have heard this. So my husband passed away 10 months ago, Mark, and
Sorry.
thank you. And today is actually the 10-month anniversary of his passing. So I'm a little retrospective, as I talk to you today. And why I bring that up is not in a self-serving way. It's to say, where's my energy for Green, Blue, and SPC in this topic? I feel like I was pushed by the universe to do more. And that's one of the things I'd ask all of our members, like, are you watching for how you're being pushed to do more in this space? And so what am I most excited about? We continue to grow as an organization. So in my first 30 days, I did a listening tour of our members. So again, it's across all these different stakeholder groups. It's not just brands, it's not just converters. No one has said anything but do more, do it faster. And here's the scary part. We should probably pay you more for membership. Which I came from the profit world. No one tells you that, right? No one says, hey, could you charge me more for my packaging? So that was a great, like, green light for me to say, let's do more, let's move faster. So a lot of the energy around that is us setting up a structure within SPC that supports our growth and really brings the members in. So we talked about collaboratives. We're working right now on launching 2 new collaboratives. One is specifically based on legislative and legal questions for packaging.
Oh, wow.
So think about this, having all of the legislative experts from our brands, from our members, once a month, sit together, here's what I've heard, and we will put that out to our members saying, this is our understanding. It's got a guidance document will go out from that group. It's not at all lobbying or saying anything around that, but like, I'm very excited about leveraging the power of our members.
There are some incredibly brilliant people in this group. And I had the honor of meeting people like Jordan from Tetra Pak, who that's what he does. He lives and breathes this government influence and working with them to abide by these new laws and to make sure these new laws are actually helping society, not just—
That's a great point.
Not just putting a thumb on packaging when we can embrace this movement and make positive steps.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better. One of the things, first off, I am a big believer that we need legislation. So I do think that needs to be part of the puzzle. I'm a little not excited about state to state for various reasons. I'm hoping the federal government does step in. I don't know when that'll happen. I think we have some pain coming as an industry. But that said, your point is really important. Like, we have to be very careful about unintended consequences in what we do.
Right.
So even if you start to think about this trade-off here, switching to a material is amazing and could very well be. If you've now damaged a certain product this much more, and you're putting it back through the supply chain 2 times because of damage, the overall sustainability equation is not necessarily positive. So I think that's what I'm hoping the legislations can look at and start to figure out. And it is very interconnected. You mentioned this, if the recycling system doesn't work in our country,
Yep.
it doesn't really matter if you front end load it as much as you can. We have to be part of that solution, working with the municipalities, working with, frankly, new end markets that will give value to this product.
Right.
You know, we're not doing this in a vacuum. So I think that's one of the other things I'm always excited about in my role. I legit can sit with those people at a table. Like in my old life, you could kind of maybe get those meetings, but now it's like, hey, we need someone from this stakeholder group, and they'll come and they'll have the conversation. That's the power of this.
They want to help.
They
And
want to.
I think people in this world and most worlds of business are inherently helpful. They want to, but they need to be given that conduit to say, all right, these people I trust with this information, and I know that they're not going to skew it to a negative, and they're going to learn from it like I have. And I think
that's a great point.
You mentioned the feeling at the event, and it's a feeling of collaboration. It's a feeling of acceptance. You don't see anybody that's like nervous or, it's just like, hey, what do you do? How can we help each other? And
people will talk to you like that. People,
fascinating.
Yeah, they'll come right up. And, hierarchy of need, if you think of Maslow, like if we don't build safety within that foundation of the hierarchy of need for our group, they can't do what they naturally want to do, which is good work. So I think that's one of the things we're very cognizant of, having green, blue, and by extension, the SPC and how to recycle as a place where they can come, and it's not coming to their conference room. It's not like Walmart, and I love Walmart, but it's not like you went to Bentonville and you're sitting in Walmart's conference room. Great things happen there. This is a different feel because you're leveling the playing field at our events to say you're safe. If this is a beef you have with someone because it is messing up all of our future to move forward, talk through it. So I do love that part of it. And I don't know if you saw this, people disagree, and that's okay. People on panels that we had will say, I don't agree with you. I think this. I'd rather have them say that and have us all talk through it.
That was one of my favorite parts. There was one of the panels was kind of contentious.
And,
two or three of the panelists were really working it out together on the stage, and the rest of us are like, let's work through this issue.
We need that, right?
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah. We're not always going to agree, but I want to go back to the point you made of, I think at the end, we all want to do good. We all want to. So if you come in understanding like people's motivation is pure, but they have roles in their organizations, let them have that debate. And that I had so much positive feedback about that particular panel because people learned from it how to disagree and still get to a solution.
It was not abrasive. It was not offensive.
They were jabbing each other, but they obviously know each other. They know the industry, but it wasn't abrasive, but there was definitely humor.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. I truly appreciate this. Tell us how to get a hold of you and the team at Green Blue.
Yep. So my direct email is always good. It's paul.nowak@greenblue.org. Our website, sustainablepackaging.org, can get you all the information on SPC. We'd love to have you as a member. Look at that. What I would say is also be an active member. Yeah. Like join a collaborative, go to an event, if you want a place at the table for your organization, it's there, but you have to go grab the chair and sit in it.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely perfect. Thank you, Aurora, for sponsoring this podcast. If you're listening, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And I hope to see you all in Atlanta, October 3rd at the SPC event. Thank you, Paul.
Great. Thanks, Cory. Good seeing you.